Hey everyone, welcome to the Quit and Switch podcast. This is a career and business pivoting podcast where we reveal the stories and lessons of established or rising stars who have pivoted from a specific career, business, or industry, so professionals and entrepreneurs in their transition, like you and me, can gain actionable tips and insights to apply in our daily lives. Just for the show notes today, guys, you can head over to quitandswitch.co/yummy. That's quitandswitch.co/yummy. Yummy is spelled YOI for all of today's tips, nuggets, and references and links from today's episode. All right. So, quit and switches. I would like to introduce to the show Yommy Ojo. Right, Yommy Ojo. He has quit and switched from being a product manager to being a online webinar funnel specialist in the real estate industry. And so we're going to talk more about what he does. So he runs Online Ascension, which is a marketing agency for the real estate sector who want to get in front of their prospective audiences with their own webinar funnel system. So we're going to go into this system, right? Yummy, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Adrian.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yummy, believe it or not, is actually a friend of mine. Some years ago, we connected. This was the days when I was running UX Academy, and Yummy was kind of coming up. He was up and coming product manager. He was doing what he was doing in the scene. He was killing it in the sector, and now he's moved to a completely different sector. So you're going to hear a bit about his quit and switch journey. But Yummy, before we get into that, how are you? What have you been up to recently?
Yeah, man. Just for like the last 6 months, last 12 months, I'd say just been a series of mindset shifts as well. So I feel like that's what it looks like when you're really trying to grow. And yeah, like still figuring it out, but getting a bit more balance now. I don't even know if anyone ever gets balance as well. Like when it comes to this journey, but everyone seems go building daily. But yeah, that's what I've been on really.
Wow, I mean, it really does feel like it's go go go. I guess that's what you get by living in the West. It's always going to feel like you're in the rat race, even when you're not in the rat race. It's always going to feel like go, 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 especially when you have big dreams and ambitions. One other thing I love is that, Yummy, when you're, let's say, in a country like in Ghana, it feels like life slows down. Even though you may have that kind of lifestyle, life feels different out there because it's just not the way it is. Like it is in the West. It's different.
It's the same in Nigeria, man. I'll never forget being on my cousin's balcony in the apartment. Yeah, the roads weren't as done up and everything, but I got the heat beaming on my face. He had some African art, and it just felt more chilled. Obviously, Lagos is crazy. And then when I went to Ghana, I was like, for a holiday, I was like, yeah, like it's even more chilled and a bit more peaceful as well. So yeah, man, like, bro, this is why everyone's trying to like think for themselves about this global landscape and how we can connect the dots, man. Yeah, therefore you've been doing that. You people like yourself and others have been doing it still.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Yummy, for your kind words. All right. So you know what? Let's get into it. So, before we get into Online Ascension, could you tell us about your quit and switch journey for the sake of our quit and switches? So, to tell us how you kind of pivoted from product management to essentially, online marketing or digital marketing for the real estate agent
Yeah,
for the real
yeah,
estate industry.
yeah, no, definitely. And I think the before I can even go into that, the backstory is like, yeah, I'm just a curious individual. I figured it out along my journey how much of a curious individual I was. And I had a career spanning banking, tech, and real estate. And the last 7 years of my career as a product manager is probably like the craft that I love the most. So I became obsessed about product management. One times, learning up to 40 hours a week about all the people in the space that I respected until I started to form my own opinions. And then just through that journey, like I just started to realize that a lot of what I was learning in product management, I saw a lot of small businesses making the mistakes. It's like they're spending 6 months trying to build this technical product. They haven't figured out who their users are going to be, or they quit their job and then they spend the next 6 months trying to raise investment only to be told you're a bit too early, come back in a couple months, and just not, really figuring it out. So I won't say I'd figured out all the aspects of business at that time, But I would say that because I was doing like blogging and writing a newsletter and tweeting a little bit, I didn't realize that indirectly I was building an audience way before I really understood marketing like that. And in summary, just by being a product manager, it just gave me a knack for understanding buying behavior online. And yeah, just by being with the right people around me, understanding more about the different aspects of marketing and having to do my own thing, which is what we'll get to. I ended up landing on becoming a systems and marketing partner for independent estate agents with my kind of like signature process with webinar funnels. Is something that I take clients on after like they're stabilized and after like we've kind of got the partners leveraged. It's just the low hanging fruit that I found that a lot of people haven't figured out how to use in the way I do to drive high ticket sales.
Okay, wow. So what I got from that, Yomi, is that you were in product management for quite some time, and I wouldn't say there was necessarily frustration, but what I'll say is that um, you realize that, wait a minute, there's real problems in other industries that I can actually solve. I can actually take my skill set and my insight and my experience and then use that to really solve real actual problems, then maybe working on a project or being part of an industry where there are founders who are launching products that aren't really solving problems per se. And you found a pressing problem in the real estate market, and you're deciding to solve that problem with online ascension.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a great layup because yeah, it'll be a lie to say I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was frustrated, but I felt like I wasn't valued as much as I could have been.
Hmm.
But my relationship with work changed a few years ago, let's say like 4 or 5 years ago, when I stopped seeing work for work and I started thinking about work as getting paid to learn. So that was a big mindset shift for me. And then in regards to the real estate space, it's quite funny because when I started really going back to the root problems that I wanted to solve, and I started to think about, okay, what am I naturally good at that other people struggle with? What is the market problems that I care about solving for myself or someone else that I can play a long game in?
Hmm.
And what's a growing market? I toyed with quite a few different ideas, and then it was kind of like it was right in front of my nose because I'd been an estate agent before. I did like the rent to rent strategy, even though I made all the mistakes there, and then I went back into corporate, and then in my first ever tech job as a product manager, it was actually in a prop tech company. So I
Mm.
didn't even realize this when I was figuring it out, and then I would say that the alley that I got, and I know this one was God from God, was when the guy that founded the most read estate agent newspaper 28 years ago.
Hmm.
I built up a relationship with him 8 years ago in the prop tech space, and he asked me to be in his first AI cohort. So he's like inaugural cohort, and he's brought together people from like JLL, Lasang, all these big like corporates. And then it
Hmm.
was all around AI. And I was like, wow, like, so it just kind of clicked in my head, like, oh, real estate's actually at the space now where they're ready to adopt some of these technologies. Because when I was in my first prop tech company, we struggled. And I know why we struggled. Prop tech and property is two different languages, and we just struggle to communicate.
Wow, wow. Yeah, that is quite something. Yummy, before we continue on, this is really interesting. For the sake of the quit and switchers listening, could you talk about what rent to rent is, and could you talk about what prop tech is? Could you break those two terms down for the average person who's listening? They may not know.
Yeah, definitely. Rent to rent is something that you probably might have seen your uncle and auntie doing and not even knowing it's rent to rent. And it's basically where someone rents you their property and then you take the whole property, but you rent it out room by room to make more money on a monthly basis. Like, it is a strategy that has some people have just done because they've just figured out that actually this makes sense and it makes money. But there's a whole industry full of courses, training, and how to do it in a legally and compliant. way in the UK. And rent to rent is just a strap line that they've used to kind of hone in on that. And it's very much a very entry level strategy that a lot of people take. And at the time when I was getting into it, doing it, taking a house and renting out 3 or 4 rooms, or let's say at least four, was the popular strategy. But because the taxation of the buy to let market in the UK has changed, and it just means that it's less profitable for, if you don't get your numbers right, and basically a lot more people have moved to rent serviced accommodation, which is more of like it's more like taking the property and competing with the hotel standards. So having a cleaner that comes in either every day or a few times a week, and having fresh towels and maybe having coffee and biscuits. So same same property, but it might be used differently, and it might require different contracts and different strategies as well.
Absolutely. So one is rent to rent service accommodation says renting by the night, isn't it? And then rent to rent HMO is renting by the room, on a monthly basis to multiple people.
Well said.
Yeah. And PropTech, that's short for property technology, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you've heard of fintech, then it might give you a clue as to what PropTech is, and it's just a name coined to summarize all the activity going on in the property market, where the techies are trying to digitize all manual aspects of the technology sector, and some of it even gets into more complicated things like payments and client money protection, and just this whole space of like technologists looking at property and saying, reimagine it and saying, like, how can we make this better with technology?
Fantastic, brilliant. That's essentially the space that you're in or disrupting in a way. So you're kind of in between, marketing and prop tech in a way, right? You're kind of
Yeah,
in between. You're in between two industries, which is fantastic. All right, okay. So let's go on, Yommy. So you mentioned that you previously did work for a prop tech company, and it wasn't really working out, or they weren't really solving a problem per se. But you managed to discover a gap in the market in the real estate space. This is in the UK, right? Right.
yeah,
Okay,
correct.
cool. You discovered a space or a gap in the market in the real estate space in the UK, and you decided that based on your previous experience and skill set, there's something here that you can solve. Please continue.
Yes, so it's very funny because when I worked in the prop tech, I'll never forget. In summary, it was a less than 50 people company. You got one
Hmm.
co-founder on your left, one co-founder on your right, and then my ideas, and you can imagine whose ideas they took up. So I really learned that you have to really be good at building your case with a lot of data and evidence. And in that time when I was going to all the prop tech events, I feel like at that time we fell into the trap of being technology in search of a solution. This is something I'll say for everyone. Don't make this mistake. Don't go out there and say, oh, let me slap AI on it and start marketing and promoting it, and people will buy, because you haven't really solved the root problem. What I kind of found after being a more experienced product manager is really like I needed to spend time learning the space, making the market. And that is a very iterative process. And that's where most businesses fail. And I think the best thing I could say for any entrepreneur, or from what I saw, is that most people struggle to find a group of people who have a big problem that they're willing to spend a lot of money on to solve. That is very key in terms of entering into a market and surviving. And you can last as long as your willpower, your savings, and your real passion to get it going. But the difference I believe I feel is, whereas prop tech is just not there yet, and I'm not saying that prop tech can't solve some of these solutions. I'm doing the thing of like I'm actually meeting people where they are. So I'm not trying to go off into this dark room and build this amazing pop tech solution and try to sell it and try to say to people, stop using Salesforce because we're cheaper and we're better and we give you more service or support, or we do this part of the process that's gonna be one part of your whole big piece. I actually embed myself, in terms of like our offerings, the biggest offering is me embedding myself and becoming your systems and marketing partner, and essentially acting as like a fractional COO for 3 months and going in there and making sure that your leads from prospective buyers, your campaigns, how you transfer your highest intent leads to your sales team work, all the systems that you need to be able to turn customers into delighted clients and start to think about partnerships between the mortgage side and the solicitor side. So I make all of that happen from people who a lot of the times left college and became estate agents because they were good with people, they knew their patch, and they just kind of saw it as what they wanted to do in their town as well. And because estate agent fees have dropped and a lot of the revenue that they used to earn has gone, for the right independent estate agents who understand estate agency, they've got access to stock. I essentially act as their, you know, digital and sales function to essentially help them earn more and close more. Basically, that's basically what I do.
Okay, this is quite interesting here. Thanks for sharing, Yomi. So let's explore this a lot more. So you work with, is it estate agents? Is it property entrepreneurs? Talk us through the type of stakeholder that you work with at Online Ascension.
Yeah, and I've worked with both. I've helped property entrepreneurs who have membership communities grow from like 2 paid members to 120 paid members in 8 months, like just making sure that their organic distribution works properly and then amplifying that through ads. And also helped estate agents. My most recent client's an estate agent that specializes in new build homes. And I've basically set out the infrastructure, the process, the systems so that when leads come in, we have a quicker process to be able to respond to the highest priority leads. We're providing a better service through for vendors and developers, and we're just positioning, just the good things that these clients have done and helping them attract more landlords and more homeowners as well. So
Yeah,
that's
brilliant.
what we started doing.
Okay, so you're taking the systems that they may already have in place, but you're trying to amplify it through, your marketing and technology systemizations.
Yeah, and to kind of even like improve on that saying as well. Like, my most recent client didn't have the right systems in place. He'd come from Foxtons, so one of the biggest estate agents in the UK, and he basically wanted to go out on his own. He didn't want to go down, in the UK we have some franchise models as well. So he didn't want to go down the franchise models of like Keller Williams, which are quite internationally known, or EXP, which are known as well. He didn't want to give up 20% of his commission to that company. He didn't want to give up 30% of commission to another company. He didn't need the estate agency training. He needed someone that could be like his co-pilot and say, look, I know what I'm good at. I need someone that's good at this. I need to, how can we get this going as well? So, that's basically what I did. But yeah, some people might have systems that they just don't know how to get them to talk to each other.
So it's case by case. So you have maybe some property entrepreneurs, some estate agents, maybe they may need help with sales, or one may need help with, what they're doing. Maybe what they're doing isn't quite working. So you are trying kind of come in and, solve that problem so that they do have a steady, predictable system that generates leads, that converts leads and wins them business. So it's kind of case by case. Is that correct? So case by case, depending on who you're working with and what the situation is, you'll provide like a solution for them in the sense of sales and marketing.
Yeah, and this is why I'm on a Quit and Switch podcast, because like the stage of business is changes in it. I'm in a stage of like solving these problems, and I think eventually I'll get to a stage where I productize it a bit more, and it's like actually you mainly come to us for these core, free problems. Anything else is kind of like, you know, a much bigger thing that we can give you a more dedicated support. But
Yeah.
yeah, though, at the moment, I'm really enjoying, like I said at the beginning, getting to the root problem. I know how to fix these problems, but it's just different because I actually enjoy that it's different because I learn so much from each different client. Like some are just very likable and amazing with people. Some are just incredible salespeople. Some are incredible leaders. Like just the way they think. So yeah, it's just about meeting them where they are, and this is why PropTech can't solve it, innit? Because PropTech's coming in as like, yeah, we've got the solution that's going to work for most of the market, and sometimes the way they talk about it is like the uptake isn't there, innit? They need someone that meets them where they are.
Got it, got it. So you're saying prop tech industry is more like, hey, we have the solution. This is a one size fits all. But you're coming in with the mindset that no, it's bespoke. It's case by case. What you need to work with that person, individually to understand what their needs are, and then come up with the solution bespokely. Is that how you work? So you come up, so at the moment you're delivering a done for you service where you're working with them, or maybe done with you service where you're working with them, understand what the problem is, coming up with a solution, but it's all within the kind of problem of maybe is all overall. It's the issue of maybe not getting clients, or not converting them, or not getting sales, or trying to grow the sales. It's all around that common thing, right?
To increase their chance of closing, and then like just take time off their hands. Like a lot of them are just kind of like have this is kind of some of the stuff we're getting into. A lot of them have VAs as well, but you can only rise to the level of service that you can support, and a lot of them just don't understand the frameworks and to kind of get things moving at velocity, to kind of like keep track of where things are dropping off. Yeah, that's it, to just deliver that service in it for their clients.
Okay, brilliant. So talk us through, Yummy, talk us through, some of these systems and some of these solutions that you're providing to your clients. So, for example, the webinar funnel system, talk us through that, and then talk us through any other solutions that you may typically provide for different scenarios for your clients.
Yeah, definitely. So the main three is, and it depends on where you are and what you need. Like the lowest ticket is like a website creation offer. So we build a website designed for an independent estate agent, that's written by estate agents for estate agents, that's designed to convert and has the appropriate user experience. So that's one. The other one is more digital marketing. So we can take that off your hands in regards to lead generation, the nurturing process as well. And then you've got the full estate agent automation funnel, which is basically embedding me with systems and process as your fractional COO. Go in there and I make your systems talk to each other. I put in the right processes for you to have oversight on your VAs, and so you can focus more on important tasks and just move the business ahead. So what I'm doing in the beginning is I'm understanding, you understand what your offer is. We can be responsible for, in terms of marketing, the traffic. We can be responsible for like the funnels, which is a type of conversion, but ultimately your sales is down to your offer and how it's presented. In regards to webinar funnels, that's more been used for property entrepreneurs, and it's something I'm getting into with estate agents. I'm
Mm.
kind of like I'm really excited about what's possible in that space. But yeah, with one of my property entrepreneur clients, we had webinar funnels converting at an amazing rate. Like when we looked at the stats in Stripe, we could see from all the different channels that we were looking at converting clients, and we tried um, Instagram and content. We tried doing email campaigns. We tried events. We tried a little bit of ads, but we've realized that we weren't really getting a return as much. But when we created this webinar funnel, like that has become the biggest conversion rate for his offering, and it's because
Mm.
even if a prospect sees 9 grids on your Instagram and they're following you and they're liking all your stuff, it's amazing the amount of times you can go to an event, be in front of your ideal person who's been engaging, and they still don't know what you do. So you find that you're having to explain it, and just think about the amount of hours and time that goes into creating that content. So long form still works, and long form has a very important use case.
Mm.
With our process, we do it in a way where, and it's really hard to gather this data, but we get like a 85% uptake on polls and interactions. Zoom's, a lot of people might be thinking, doesn't Zoom do this? Well, Zoom's a meeting platform. It's not a webinar platform. So the way we do it, we gather really good qualitative insights, which improves your content, improves your marketing, improves your sales process. And a lot of people don't know that, like with the right webinar funnel, not only does it convert at a good rate, it also acts as a really good lead magnet. So you've now got fresh leads that are showing interest in your offer because they're signing up to your webinar.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I think with webinars, the most amazing thing about webinars is long form does work. The amazing thing about webinars is that it's not like it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or any of these platforms where you're watching videos and then you can jump from one video to another. It's literally you've come in, it's like you're at a virtual event. You come in, you have to watch this video. You can't pause it, you can't rewind. It's not Sky Plus, it's not whatever TiVo, whatever you call it, we can rewind and pause. You have to be there, and if you don't be there, you're gonna miss out on the content. And there's opportunity, for the person hosting or the presenter to sell at the end or towards the end. So I think why webinar is fantastic, because like, people are forced to jump from one thing to another, but webinars you're forced to be there and pretty much stay towards the end because there's always going to be something that the presenter is going to tell them that, oh, if you stick around to the end, there's going to be this and this.
You've been on too many webinars. You can see it coming, but it's true though, because if you get someone to watch your YouTube, like, yeah, they can message in the comments with some random made up name that you can't ever find online. But how do you take that conversation into a lead, and ultimately YouTube owns the data. Like when they're in the comments, like do you really have that relationship? Like do you really have that contact? So, like what we found is that when you answer the questions of your prospective buyer and also give them a chance to get their questions answered, like they're more warm, like they're more likely to take action, and it gets results in it. People don't buy it. Like the good thing with long form versus, I guess, like IG content is like we all know, people don't buy what you sell, they buy what they see other people buying. If you're really a pro and you're quite clever and use the right tactics, you can limit supply, you can do special offers that you only do for your particular webinar. And there's so many fascinating, like I'm just kind of like in awe of like just different ways people like take people through a sale. And what I mean by that is like if you're trying to be like the white glove service, you can, you might be able to do an offer where you say, actually, because this is a misconception, the sale doesn't actually have to happen at the webinar. You might say, okay, there's 100 people here, but guess what? We're gonna go down to E20 Stratford. We've got this private office only for the people that drop their name here. You're going to be getting a special golden ticket to your door, and we're going to woo you with more teas and coffees. I've become really fascinated with the psychology of selling and the way you just kind of make people feel in the beginning, and like you kind of like there's different ways you can just basically secure the sale, and it doesn't. Not everyone's an emotional buyer. Not everyone, is moved by urgency and scarcity tactics. So it's quite fun, like helping clients test different strategies to see what works for them in it.
Absolutely, it's not a one size fits all thing like a webinar. It does take is an art and science. It takes skill, it takes practice, it takes A/B testing, it takes tweaking, and takes listening to your potential buyers, and it takes doing it over and over again to see how can you improve that 1% better so that you can have a much more higher converting webinar. I've definitely been there. Speaking of webinars and conversions, are there any kind of entrepreneurs out there that you've admired the webinars? Maybe like a Russell Brunson or someone like that, or Sam Evans or someone like that, or Ty Lopez.
Do you know what this would get? This gets into the comment because when we spoke 2 years ago, I'll never forget. Like we had a conversation, and I was like, this guy's a product manager, but no, he's more than just a product manager. He's more of a marketer. But I'll be honest, I didn't even know too much about marketing then. I remember you done me loads of links, like 30. I was thinking, does this guy think I'm gonna watch all of this? But I took what I needed from it. I think I even asked you, like, okay, so what's the order to watch this in? And like it's a saying I always say, like everyone wakes up at different times, innit? The biggest saying I've also had as well in the last year is self-realization is the biggest form of change. Jim Rohn says you can't tell people what to do, so there needs to be something that clicks in someone's mind. You need to give people enough room to think in it, and I appreciate you for that, because when sometimes I look back and I take stock and I'm like, who was trying to give me game early? Like that's my guy, like, and that's why I always try to show reverence, because I'm like, nah, Adrian, like, you know, I didn't clock it at the time, but you were trying to take me there. But sometimes if you take, you can, you can take someone to the water right now, yeah.
Yeah.
But if they're not ready,
Yep.
they can't. Do you know what I mean?
It's
They
true.
can't move.
It's like the customers as well, right? You know, you got top of the funnel. You can't force someone that's in top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. You have to take them through that process, or they have to be in a certain stage. Understand? Some people are like, oh, I closed a client instantly. No, you didn't. Maybe not necessarily. It's because they were at bottom of funnel. They're ready to buy, and it just needed you to ask for the sale. You know, it's crazy.
That's it.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yummy, this has been a fantastic conversation so far. You clearly at Online Ascension, you clearly provide, sales solutions, bespoke sales solutions for your real estate clients, as well as bespoke marketing solutions for your real estate clients, and then automation optimization services for your real estate clients. I really feel like those are the three main offers that you provide
100%.
to your clients. Now, why did you decide to go down the route rather than like a content agency or SMMA route? Because that's a popular route that people want to go down.
Do you know what's funny? Yeah, it was that's the very sickest question you just asked, because it. I think for me, being a product manager, I knew that one thing I knew how to do is build great products. I understood the process of building a great product. I didn't understand marketing as well at that time, and when I kind of figured out kind of like my intersections, it was definitely on the technical ability to just kind of like build systems and connect things, and then just I knew how to, like, if people were not taking up your offer or service, I knew all the things to track and I knew the things to test. So what I just found with like content and marketing agencies is like I'm not going to compete with them in that space. Like I didn't feel the need to, because I just felt like actually this is an underserved space, and everyone needs like top of funnel. So you need, so SMMAs, general marketing agencies, they'll generally do the top of funnel awareness piece, and you need that. But if you're not doing the middle of funnel, you're leaving money on the tables. Kind of like a tagline, but I always say like we work on a part of the funnel which makes prospects say, "Wow, I need that now," because like that is where, yeah, that's where you're moving people along the journey as well. Like, and especially as you get high ticket, I think the higher ticket, the more they need to build the know, like, and trust in it. You know, the research from Google was prospects need 7 hours of content, 11 interactions, and to be able to see you in 4 different locations to build that trust. We're doing that, you know, that process as well. And just like a free takeaway for the guests as well is that I find that a lot of people are doing organic. They don't know what they're tracking. They're putting money on ads. They don't know how to get a return on it. And a lot of them could just do well with like even referral systems, like just simply nurturing referrals and setting that up. And if when you want to take it a layer up, you get into affiliates. Like you can do that for such a long time to give you the return to invest in ads. And a lot of people do it the other way around. They just think, oh, let me just hack it and run ads. And it's like, go on then. There's still nothing to support like customers going through that journey. So like you said, like the customer journey is not a straight line from A to B. It's normally people bouncing around, and it's become harder to track and to kind of like keep track of the journey and do attribution as well. But yeah, a lot along that journey, like all I'm doing is like continuing to build my curiosity, continuing to build systems and processes, listening and understanding the business owners, and just setting them up with like a pathway to be able to see what's going on. At the end of the day, they know their offer better than anyone else. They know what resonates with their audience better than else. I'm just there to help them know what things to test and basically give them the education to take the right actions as well along the journey.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think you really hit the nail on the head there. Out of curiosity, what's been like the highest like ticket? I mean, in terms of the clients you worked with, what's like the highest like ticket price that they've offered?
1.5.
One what? Say that again.
1.5.
1.5. Wow. Okay.
1.5.
Is that for
Yeah.
a course or a particular service, or is it a product?
No, just for service.
A
It's like,
service.
yeah, for my full service as well. But yeah, I'm at the stage where I'm thinking like that is that to really delight the clients that I want to and deliver that service. yeah, I feel like that's a bit. I need to think about that as well as we grow.
Awesome. Right. Well, we're going to wrap up with a couple of questions. I mean, this has been an insightful conversation for the quitters and switchers that have been listening. So for those quit and switchers that want to get into the real estate industry, right? Maybe in marketing, sales, maybe conversion rate optimization, or maybe working operations as a specialist. What tips would you give to these quitters and switchers?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I'll give you the real estate answer in general. Like, if you're trying to do real estate is a very small community. For someone that's been in and out of it for years, I didn't realize how small it was until I started to really focus in this space. And you start to realize a lot of people have existing relationships. Just what I found is that education is very important. Like, I think there's two things people in real estate value. Like, there are risk takers and they bet on themselves and they make things happen and they don't make excuses. So it's a lot different from the employee mindset, but at the same time there's a level of like craft in, if it's estate agents that know how to sell, if it's people that do specific strategies. There's so many different strategies, from development to rentals and like service accommodation and the finance aspects. I'll just definitely say take the time to be around the right people. If you're in any group, I always say there's free, paid, and membership. Free is not always going to be the best quality, but if that's what you can afford, be a likable person and go and make your relationships. Pay for access will get you a much better quality, and membership is sometimes what people are needed, especially if they're green. So just try and take time to understand the space. In general, if it's not real estate, the biggest advice that I could give through my experience and learnings is, before you start selling, treat yourself like as an entrepreneurial scientist. You can spend 6 months and a year whilst you're in your job just being of value, understand the market, and just be a researcher. Help people in a research-led manner, and just say, look, I'm just here to learn. I'm here to do research. And then if you learn to have enough conversations with people, you might be like, would you want to jump on a call so I share my findings? That process is exactly what you're going to do in sales. If you can take someone that you've met at an event to jump on a call with you to share your findings, you can eventually sell to that person. Because once you figure out what the person's problem is and you've got the solution, then they might buy from you.
100%, 100%. Well, that's great tips. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that with our quit and switches. And then what I would say is, finally, this is our traditional question. If time, money, or resources was no object, what industry, business, or career would you quit and switch to? And why?
If time, money, and what was the third one?
Sorry, I'll say it again. If time, resources, and effort was no object, what industry, business, or career would you quit and switch to right now, today?
I'll definitely be in real estate, but I think the problems that I care about solving more than anything else is helping young Africans in Africa get more opportunities. And it might just be
Wow.
because of my 2 year, like my time that I spent in Nigeria when I was younger. I think it really opened my thinking. And when I look back in hindsight, I feel like that really shaped a lot of things. So yeah, man.
That's powerful. But Yummy, thank you so much for coming, quit and switch. Any announcements? Otherwise, where can people find you?
Yeah, I would say no announcements, more content to come from me. Easiest way to find me is LinkedIn, Yommy Ojo. So that's Yankee Oscar Mike Yankee space Oscar Julia Oscar for anyone who's just listening. And yeah, just connect with me, man. Say hi. I'm quite easy to talk to. I also got the Instagram Yommy.property But yeah, LinkedIn is always going to be there.
Fantastic. Don't worry, guys. We'll have all of the links, reference nuggets, and key references in from today's episode. You can head over to quitandswitch.co/Yommy. That's YOI. And you can get all of that from there. And we'll have all of the social media links in there also. Okay. I mean, thank you so much for coming on and being today's star of Quit and Switch. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Until the next one. Remember, quitters never quit, they switch. See you in the next episode. Thank you.